Mastodon, Pterodactyl, Triceratops, Saber-tooth tiger, Tyrannosaurus.
Hello, we're back.
We
And
are
here
back.
Yes, indeed. And we're talking about Sentai. But actually, no, we're not. We're going to come back and we're going to tie this all together with Power Rangers, and we're going to talk about Power Rangers now. Which is, it's a mouthful. It's such a fucking mouthful to say Power Rangers instead of Sentai.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about PO now. Wait, no, not PO.
PR.
We're going to PR. So, let's talk about PR. So, no raping at the workplace. That's definitely a no-no. Don't spill coffee on the ground, or else we're gonna clean it up. Jump in. You got your fact sheet out there. What should? Okay.
I got it.
All right. This bit's going down the toilet. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry for this PR bit. Okay, let's move on to Power Rangers. So, 93 is what I said before.
Right.
And I want to start off by asking, when did you first see that? Did you see the premiere, or did you get into it a little later on?
I don't quite know where I started watching it. I just know I was in kindergarten. And I went over to my friend's house.
No. You wouldn't have been in kindergarten 93.
Hold on. I might have been in first grade. Maybe. Yeah, it might have been first grade. I don't know. I didn't start watching it until I was in school.
I would have been in about first grade. 87, 5 years kindergarten, 6 years first grade, right?
Right.
So you'd be probably second grade, maybe.
Maybe.
Whatever.
No, it wasn't quite that long.
Well, whatever. Fucking.
All right.
Regardless.
I was pretty little.
Okay, so you're little. You just happened to catch it one day?
I was over at a friend's house, and I was spending the weekend over at his house, and he was watching it, and I was like, what is this? Because I saw dinosaurs, and I was like, dinosaurs? Robots? And it all started from there.
Were you a fan of Transformers before that?
Yeah, okay. I was.
And,
so, I actually had a T-Rex Transformer. Grimlock?
I was going to say a Dinobot. Did you know that the Dinobots are confirmed for the next Transformers?
Oh, that's cool.
What?
Marky Mark's going to be in the next Transformers.
Oh, I did hear that, but everybody else is out, right?
Yeah. And Michael Bay said it's supposed to be super serial this time.
Super serial? It's a fucking thing about robots smashing other robots. I don't want the. I thought the first one was a good mix of some comedy and serious stuff.
He just doesn't want people ripping on him for making robot testicles. He said it got away from him last time.
That was the second one. I actually thought that the third one was all right. Okay, moving on from Transformers and the argument about if they're bad movies or not. You're like, I like dinosaurs and robots. That looks cool.
Yeah. It's when it started, and I remember I forced my parents to watch an episode with me when I got home. And I remember my mom just letting this really long sigh.
Yo, Mom, watch this shit.
She was just like, what is this?
Drop the bass!
And that was the first time I actually heard that this is probably Japanese.
From your parents?
Yeah. I think when she was looking at the credits at the end, she saw that this was inspired by blah, blah, blah.
Interesting. Okay. I really do not know my origins. I watched the first season, but in my memory, I want to say I didn't see it until right around when Tommy first came in, that saga.
Okay, that's still the first season.
Yeah, it's very sparse. I just remember loving Power Rangers when I was a kid, and I remember at that point, I remember that. I remember I got this VHS, just that video actually, is when he comes in. It's a two-parter or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that. I don't know if that was the first thing I ever got or if it's just like a random thing that someone bought me. And then I watched it on TV and I watched the rest because I remember like being super like stoked when they got like destroyed. And then the next season they got the next season
Thunderzord powers.
Actually, no, because the next season had a different cast, right?
Well,
or though
because
they switched, some came and some went back. That's right.
right, because in reality, the actor that played Jason, Zach, and Trini wanted to negotiate for more money because the show was starting to like, really take off.
Yeah.
And Saban at the time was like, "No, you're gonna stay with what we pay you," and they're like, "No, we won't. We'll leave." And they thought that threat was gonna get them more money, but they just got recast.
You're a fucking bunch of teenagers. Fucking hell. But I do remember getting super excited. Like, got destroyed, and then they got the fucking. I remember the flying dragon thingy.
I remember as a kid thinking it was a little ridiculous that a T-Rex would turn into a Chinese dragon.
I did not. I just
Or
thought,
actually,
cool.
the one I was actually the most upset about was the Black Ranger, because it went from being a mastodon to a lion, and then the yellow one went from a saber-toothed tiger to a griffin, and the Triceratops turned into the Pegasus, even though I know what... Well, that technically is what it is, but...
So what season of Sentai was our Power Rangers based on then?
It is based on Kyoryu Sentai Zoo Ranger, even though the Z is like a J Dinosaur Task Force, Beast Rangers. I think what the correct translation is for that.
Are they fighting like the same thing? Are they fighting real
Yeah,
boss?
actually, a lot of our footage in the first season is actually the actress that plays Rita is actually the Japanese actress.
That's what I always thought, because like the voice, it always
they just
looked...
dubbed her over horribly.
Yeah, like I remember watching as a kid, and I was just like, why?
Why
I
don't
didn't
her
know.
lips
I didn't.
match?
I didn't think about like Japan. I really had no concept of Japan really.
Oh yeah.
At the time, even when I was playing video games at the time, I never really thought about Japan really. Because when you're a kid, you're not really thinking about countries and stuff. You have
No
idea.
Yeah.
But looking at pictures, it's crazy. They look. I mean, it's exactly the same or whatever. So,
Yeah.
Is there any footage in Power Rangers that is? I mean, besides like all the American stuff, is there any footage of like the actual Power Rangers? Is there anything that was actually filmed in America, or is it all just
Season 2 and 3, when we kept the same costumes but changed mechs, that is when they did more filming.
I suppose they can't really do that because this is... I mean, they took a concept of this is a series, this is the one season that they do their stuff, and then it moves on to a whole different cast. Nothing is carried over, basically.
Yeah. Sentai is a 1-year deal. You get one team for 1 year, and at the end, it changes its theme and becomes a different team.
That is just crazy to me that Power Rangers did that. Like, I mean, until I met you, which I watched Power Rangers... I met you in high school in like 9th grade, so I don't know how many seasons of Power Rangers there was. I don't know, 7, like a lot. At that point, I had stopped watching it, but I watched a lot. But I had no idea that it was Sentai, and that it was like so old, and that they didn't like carry on their stuff or whatever, and everything was like used. It was just crazy. I don't know why I never thought about it as a kid. Like I said, I just took it as is, I guess, or whatever.
Actually, yeah, for a long time, I just watched Power Rangers, and it was actually, it was like 1998, or 99. It was the first time my family got the internet, and I was like, oh, I want to like find out, I want to find out what happened on Lost Galaxy, because that was probably one of the last seasons I actually watched from beginning to end.
Ooh, you know what? I think that sounds familiar. I think that might have been one of the last two. Was that after Turbo?
Yeah. That
was Last Galaxy... Was that the one where it was still... Wasn't it still the guys, and then they just went to space or something? Or
that was in space. Lost Galaxy was the first time they didn't have a carryover member.
Okay. Lost Galaxy. Okay.
It took place on this giant space station. The whole show was about this giant like space station. How Terra Venture was gonna go find a new Earth, even though Earth was perfectly fine.
Actually, you know what? I did not watch this one. This was... I stopped... So this is... I watched everything up to this point. Because I remember catching a couple episodes on ABC when they used to have Saturday morning cartoons. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? At that point, I had noticed, like, the really bad acting and just fucking the cheesiness of everything. I'm like, this isn't the Power Rangers that I grew up with. What the fuck is this shit? And of course, it went from... that must have been the first season that went from Fox to ABC, I guess, then. Unless it was on Fox. Okay.
It was on Fox for a really long time. It wasn't until Disney got their hands on it that it switched to ABC.
Then went to ABC, okay. Well, then I don't know how I saw it then. I remember I didn't watch. I remember there was, like, the Yellow Ranger. She was a girl, I think, and I saw some things. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? So we're talking about Power Rangers. Look at this picture. So Zordon is a fucking old man that looks like Kami from Dragon Ball. Look at that old man. What are these guys? Is everyone from a different nation? They all look weird.
Hold on, it's loading for me.
Okay, sorry. So, yeah, that's crazy thinking about that now, that they just took, like, a bunch of things, and, yeah. Who is this chick I'm seeing just random pictures? There's that girl from the first season of Power Rangers, and she's, like, in a gold costume, and she's Japanese or Chinese or...
Oh, Trini? That was the Yellow Ranger in our season, the first one.
No. She's like a bad person. She looks like Goldar.
Oh, Scorpina.
Right. Okay, I remember that. Okay, Scorpina. Right.
Yeah. She was the actress that they used for her was actually the one for Sentai.
Hold on.
Oh.
So
you're looking at Jew Ranger. That's Barza. That's what his name is. He's an old wizard. He's actually an elf, if I remember the show right.
Okay, yeah, I'm talking about... Yeah, I'm talking about the Japanese version,
not Power Rangers, yeah.
Yeah, so they turned an old man into a fucking stupid ranger. Did they have a robot?
No.
Okay.
Not in this season. In older Sentais, they actually have had robot companions.
Did they add one that looked like Alpha?
Peebo's the only one I can think of.
Peebo?
His name is Peebo. I think it was during Flashman.
So, I just thought about this now. So, Lord Zed was in the second season of Power Rangers.
Right.
With Rita. Did they get that actress to come over to America to start filming stuff, or did...
No. She had no idea. We actually hired some Puerto Rican lady to become our Rita, because there's actually an arc where they explained why there was a change. For Rita to marry Zed, she needed this special moon mud, and when she put the moon mud on, she miraculously had de-aged.
That I remember that, actually, and I also, again, putting it together in my head now makes a lot of sense, but because I remember them getting married, and I remember the fucking mud shit, and her looking like, wow, that worked a lot. I can't believe that. How did they do that? I didn't think it was another actress. I didn't think about that at all. That's crazy.
Actually, it was very nicely done, because it was the lady that was doing her dub work anyway.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, they sounded similar. That's why I didn't, even think that they're two different people. Okay,
so
that's
very, very smooth on their part.
That's crazy. So is Zed? Is he in a Sentai thing?
No, that is all ours.
All ours, huh?
And actually, the reason he married Rita in the show was because parent groups were attacking Saban so much for Zed. They
Why? Because he looked like a fucking creepoid?
yeah,
With
because
fucking no skin?
yeah, because he looked like just muscle tissue with that weird metal skeleton on the outside of his body.
That is, I never was actually creeped out by it. I don't know why, because just the fact of just a fucking metal person, it was weird. But just the way he talked was just kind of silly, like, "Rah!"
I'm so angry.
Yeah, just funny, angry, just like all the time.
I remember, I thought he was, it was the very first time I had actually like thought a bad guy was going to finally beat them. Just because his introduction, he pretty much destroyed the dinosaurs.
That is true, yeah. I mean, like I said, I was blown away at that point when
Yeah.
they were destroyed or whatever. And I was like, wow, what the like actual arc of something that I was like, wow, what is gonna happen?
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
I'm looking at pictures now. That is still a fairly good costume that looks like an actual human with no flesh. Though the whole symbol of the Z on there is just kind of fucking retarded, but not more retarded than throwing a football of ramen at somebody. So
No.
okay. So one thing I just also learned about Power Rangers is that fucking shit. What the fuck is his name? It was right in my head. Breaking Bad man. What's his face?
The dad from Malcolm in the Middle?
It's so you don't watch Breaking Bad, do you?
No.
Okay, well, okay, I guess I can forgive that. I guess I don't have to freak out.
I've been meaning to. Just
okay, that makes sense. Why is I blanking on the name? Okay, but that guy, Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston, right. He did a lot of voices on the original season of Power Rangers.
Yes, he did. He did a lot of voices.
There's one that I thought the only one he did was this one called Lazardon, and I tried listening to it of a clip that I found, and it doesn't sound like him or whatever. I'm like, oh, he was only in one thing, but then I found out that he was actually a lot of things from Power Rangers. So I guess that was just an early, just voice work or whatever. It's just kind of funny.
Kind of like how he was the dentist in Seinfeld.
Yeah. Okay, I do remember that, and I remember the Malcolm Middle or whatever, and or no, I'm sorry, not Lazardon. I don't know where I got Lazardon from. That's a fucking Pokemon. That's a Pokemon. That's the Japanese name for Charizard. How the fuck did that get in my head?
Yes, it is.
I don't know how that got in my head.
Zordon, Lazardon. I can see a connection.
The name of this thing is called the Snizzard.
Snizzard.
Yeah. Here's a clip, I guess. I'll probably insert it or link it or something, but you can watch it right now as I'm talking or whatever, or at least just look at this thing. I don't really remember this from the show and whatever. But, yeah, I don't know what's so appealing about Power Rangers to me. I guess, just anything as a kid. I mean, I loved Ninja Turtles, which is also like a team or whatever, and just fucking beating the shit out of things. And, just kind of goofy fun. Like, the villains were never, like, they were never threatening. They were really just kind of dumb and goofy and just very, I mean, your typical just TV show for kids or whatever. So. Well,
do you remember that one bad guy in original Power Rangers? He looked like a pig with like a Roman helmet on.
And the one with the furry blue face, or I mean, he was a monster of the week monster.
He was just a monster of the week, and he looked like a Pac-Man if Pac-Man was that pig from Angry Birds. But he looked like just a giant pig's face with like two little thin appendages coming out of this enormous head. And
oh my gosh, I do remember this one. I googled Power Rangers pig, and the first thing that comes up is that.
Yeah, and they defeated him with a pepper shaker.
I don't remember that, but I'm looking at this costume. This costume looks really bad. I don't know how I saw the not fake arms coming out of the mouth. I'll send you a picture if this is the right thing or whatever. Um, a lot of monsters stick out to me if I see them, just because I played the Super Nintendo version, like quite a bit of Power Rangers, and just because like a lot of the monsters were, I guess I can't really say iconic because I probably don't remember that many,
A few
but
of them were.
I do remember a lot from the video game. Like there was the bull one, and there's like that eyeball monster.
Uh-huh.
Looking at some figures now, I don't remember.
There was that
anybody
one
else.
that looked like a sphinx. He was blue. Had like they always had him in the promotional stuff. Like him and Goldar were always like those generic pictures of them were always together.
Oh, I know. Yep. I googled that again. Power Rangers Sphinx, and that popped up.
Yeah.
If you
I
just
think his
type
name
in
was
it-
King Sphinx.
I believe you. Oh, that's right. I do see a giant version of Goldar and Sphinx. What was the blue thing's name?
Squat.
That was his name.
Well, those two were always together. It was either Squatter or Babu.
Babu sounds more right.
Yeah,
But I'll
Squat was
believe you either
probably
way.
the bluish black monkey spider. Oh,
Oh, you're
there was
right.
a
I forgot there was a
spider
monkey thing. That's
thing.
right. Squat, you're right, is the monkey thing, and Babu was the other thing. Man, this is just drawing more things. And there's the... What was the old man? I'm seeing a bunch of
Oh,
figures, and I see
Finster?
the old man now.
Finster.
Yeah, the one with the... he made monsters and shit.
Yeah.
He was always so nice. He always seemed so nice.
I always wondered
was-
why he was working for the bad guys.
Yeah, okay. So, we can't really talk about Power Rangers without talking about, like, Bulk and Skull. Which is, like, the thing that is carried over to Power Rangers quite a bit.
Yeah.
I actually listened to, there's this guy in College Humor. He has his own podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Rubin. And, he had Bulk and Skull. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
David
the-
or Jason
David
Narvey
Allen Greer.
and God, Jason Narvey and I'm gonna look this up right now.
Okay, so those two, they talked a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and it was really cool actually to listen to. I think they talked about like a lot of improv, and then they talked about like the range for their characters or like the arc or whatever. They talked about they sacrificed themselves at the end of
I remember that.
one of the seasons. I do when they talked about it, I do remember that too. I can't remember what season they were talking about, but I do remember they're scientists. And was that the one
in space.
Power Rangers in Space?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, they're fucking... I was like, how have we come this far where they're like, not only like good guys, but they're like
Well, they
fucking scientists.
had changed jobs probably the most out of anyone in the show. They were police officers at one time.
I do remember that as well. And I think they were talking about... They skipped quite a few seasons, but they're back in it now.
Yeah.
And I think they've been back in there for a while now.
Well, only the big guy. The other one, he's been replaced by his quote unquote son. But he looks almost like spot on like Skull.
Okay, so Bulk had a son.
No, Skull had a son. His name's Spike. And Bulk
Okay, which one is which? Okay, is
Bulk's the fat one, Skull's the skinny
okay, that
kid.
makes. So Skull's in there now with a son that looks like Bulk.
No, Bulk's in there with Skull's son.
Bulk's in there with Skull's son. Okay,
He's teaching.
so his actual son or Skull had a son?
Skull supposedly
show.
had a son in the show that Bulk is teaching how to become a samurai.
What?
Yeah. And it's very much like Bulk and Skull from original Power Rangers. They're just very goofy and a lot of slapstick stuff happens.
I remember they were talking about they were basically introduced in the show to basically just have
more.
be like the humor or whatever, and it doesn't make sense. Like they had their GI Joe moments at the end of every episode. Like the more you know. Like if you like the random skits, it's like I'm being bullied or whatever in a juice bar. And stuff. Yeah, I remember I made those noises all the time. Fucking that was Tommy.
Stand up for your friends.
This is your point now, Shay. You have a podium, and you can tell me why you don't like Tommy.
Oh my! All right, I liked him at first. When he was evil, it was great, and then he became good, and that was good too. I even liked him when he was the White Ranger, but after that, when it seemed like everyone started to disappear from the show, and only Tommy goddamn Oliver remained. I was like, no, this isn't right. Why doesn't he leave? Why doesn't he join his friends? He always talks about them, but he never does anything.
I wanted to stay here with Bulk and Skull.
And he never even acknowledged those guys after a while. It was always like, oh, it's Bulk and Skull. Oh, and Tommy was in for so many friggin' seasons. It was ridiculous. He was in for before... Oh, because he.
Okay, I looked up Bulk and Skull. I'm sorry, real quick on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So they were in all the seasons. They went up to Lost Galaxy, and then jumped way ahead into Wild Force, which is pretty recent, right? And now Power Rangers Samurai.
Wild Force was like 2002, and then
so there was
the newest one would have been Samurai, but that's that's last year.
Trying to train Skull's son Spike. His name is Son Spike.
Mm-hmm.
Skull and Spike. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They talked about Abbott Costello. They talked about trying to inspirations from that. Okay. Anyway, yeah, Tommy.
Tommy.
I've seen him be douchey before. I'm talking about season.
God,
it's one of those people that he is trying to absorb from Power Rangers. He's like, I was in fucking Power Rangers. Fucking worship me. He seems like one of those people. I haven't met him. He could be super nice or whatever. He seems like he's that type of person. Just like Boba Fett, the actor that played Boba Fett in the prequel movies.
Yeah. That
kid. I heard a lot of terrible stories about how he's just a fucking prick.
Well, I'd believe it. I'm fucking Boba Fett, guys.
Fucking Boba Fett. Boba Fett? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm fucking Boba Fett. Bubba Fett? What's my fucking name? I killed my father because crime killed him.
Crime!
We're spending a lot of time on just Power Rangers. I guess it's all together. We're kind of all around the place. Because I can't really pick and choose things. I just remember I was the Red Ranger for quite a few Halloweens. Reused costumes and stuff. And a little embarrassing story... I loved Power Rangers so much that, I played with myself... Okay, this is not porn territory. I played with myself in the backyard all the time. I had this whole thing where I crossed genres upon genres of shit. I had crossovers way before they had crossovers. Well, actually, I don't know, because comics and fucking... Whatever. Okay, so I was in the backyard talking to myself, all the time, next time on fucking me, it's Mega Man, there's Power Rangers, and I was doing fucking karate and shit, and I was get him, and it was crazy. And I also someone saw me in my yard, I think, at some point, and then I got discouraged. I was what the fuck, I'm fucking talking to myself. I'm not doing anything. I'm talking to myself. What is happening? I did this for a long time. I remember I did a Mega Man thing where I was I'm Pickup Man. This is how if you fight me, you can pick up shit. I'm Jump Man. If you can jump after getting me. I'm what is happening? I'm degrading everything to the very lowest denominator or whatever. So I transferred all that stuff into Legos because I think after Power Rangers, I was doing Legos while Power Rangers was on, but I think Legos transformed me into just everything what I am. It really inspired my creativity and stuff like that. And I had I should have a Lego cast, but I transferred all my inspiration stuff into Lego. I had seasons of Lego. I had like, oh, this person from Final Fantasy, fucking boom, Cloud. Boom, Cloud was in Final Fantasy. I've come from another world, Lego people. Because I had like the whole city all arranged in my room. Different islands and shit, and there's always different seasons. And it's like, I even did like a theme song, like, now it's time to start the show, and be like, blah, blah, da, 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 da. I was like running around the room. I was like, do, do, do. And I was like zooming in on characters and be like, this is this guy. And then, if I only had YouTube back in that day, but I would get picked on if I was doing that in my room and I was being filmed. I think that I was a pre-Star Wars kid. Yeah. So, yeah. So I was very enthusiastic, I guess, about Power Rangers, and then, you know, like I don't know the origins of me knowing when I started. I don't know the origins of when I stopped. Like I said, I guess Lost Galaxy was the season I stopped, because I remember watching Lost in Space, or Time Space, whatever. And, yeah. What about you?
When did I...
Some embarrassing things from me.
Well, I used to do the same thing. Well, I had gone into our refrigerator, and I'd stolen all the metal off of the racks, because we used to have glass racks. And they'd have this, like, tiny, thin metal, like, thing that, you know, the thing so you'd know it was there. Just this little piece of aluminum. Well,
Okay.
I went through and I stole all the aluminum off of our fridge racks, and I built myself a sword out of it. And I told Kara, or I told Brandon, the kid I used to play Power Rangers with all the time, I told him that I had invented my own Power Ranger. I had invented the Orange Ranger, which was a Stegosaurus. And I used to go out into my woods and I used to battle trees because I was I was sent by Zordon to take care of these primitive, like, putties or something. It was a very, like, it ended up being a very convoluted story. There were so many, like, twists and turns in my little head about it.
Yeah, man, if I could go back in time and have a transcript of my shit, I don't know. I'd love to. I mean, I hear kids nowadays be like, you know, this is this, and this is this, and he's the Batman, and Batman's going after Spider-Man. And be like, yeah, Batman is not going after Spider-Man, you little retard. Do you not know continuity? Oh my god, what? You got Legos with Duplo, and you got with Mega Blocks? Gosh, you're so stupid. They're just all over the place, and I guess we just don't know cognitive thought back when we were kids, and we don't know right from wrong. We don't know shit from crap, from good stuff. I guess shit from crap. I suppose crap is just kind of crap, and shit's just awful, I suppose. Closing thoughts on Power Rangers, memories, anything you want to share?
Okay, I remember the exact moment when I decided Tommy Oliver was a retard.
Okay.
It was because during Zeo, they, instead of giving Billy the Gold Ranger powers, they fucking brought Jason back because Tommy told them it was a good idea. And I was like, no, Billy had been there since the beginning. And
I forgot about the Gold Ranger.
Which
is not a Gold Ranger.
Billy had been there for so long, and he had to put up with so much shit that I thought this was finally going to be, like, his moment to shine. He was finally going to come back and
Was
save
Billy
the day.
the only one that went all the way through to Zeo?
Yeah, actually, he left after Zeo because he couldn't become the Gold Ranger because he had been exposed to this anti-morphing particle or some bullshit. So he decided to go to that planet with the alien rangers, those Aqua people.
I do remember the Aqua people. I was super psyched for that.
Okay.
I liked Zeo Ranger a lot because that was ninjas and that was awesome.
Well, that was alien
Was that
rangers. Zeo was the one with the geometric shapes and they had crystals and stuff. They had, like, there was a giant, like, mechanical bowl, and there was a sphinx, and there was, like...
No, I remember Zeo, because I'm looking at pictures now, but Zeo was not the same as the ninja one?
No.
So it went from Okay, it's Power Rangers, and then it went right.
It was
no, it was still Power Rangers when it went to the destruction with the Thunderdorts and
right.
everything, right?
Then it became Tommy became the White Ranger, and then after they lost their powers, became children, had to go through like different time periods to get these special crystals. Then they became. That's when the Alien Rangers came to protect Earth, while the Power Rangers were little kids.
Oh my God, they were little kids. That's right. They were so the alien. They were always the ninjas.
Yeah, they were always the
Right.
ninjas, and then with the Alien Rangers was like, "Oh, we can't give you our powers, but we can borrow you our robots."
What doesn't I'm thinking about this. Wow. So they're okay. First of all, they're underwater people,
Right.
and they were aliens.
Right. That had
Were they from another planet or from the ocean?
They were from a planet called Aquitar.
Aquatard. You know, you can't really say that Japan was crazy when you just think about American, just naming and stuff. So they're bad. When you write for a kids show, you can get away with like Gundanium alloy,
Or unobtainium.
unobtainium, yeah. Just very basic supply, just very silly things like Captain Man, Captain Man Face, Captain Evil Person, Captain Lord Zed with a giant Z on his staff. That's entertaining for kids. You can't have complicated plots.
So
You crazy?
the Ninja Rangers only had 10 episodes.
That's what I thought. I remember liking the ninjas a lot, but I also don't remember the aliens being around for that long, so they were only around for 10 episodes.
If you ever look at like pictures of the actors wearing the stuff that they made them wear, I feel bad for them now. It's almost like if you've ever seen Galaxy Quest, what they make Alan Rickman wear throughout the whole movie. Alan Rickman.
Oh, okay, so the big brain thing,
Yeah.
like this. Okay. So they really look like this? I don't quite remember this.
And they always did funky hand symbols. Like, just to talk, they had to, like, hold their fingers a certain way.
This is what they look like?
Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Yeah. Yes, that is what they
okay.
looked like.
Interesting.
I wish we would have used these suits. I really like the Kaku Ranger outfits.
Yeah, those are really... That's why I said I like those a lot. So they...
We
Huh.
didn't use them, and it's sad because the only semi ninja like team would be Hurricaneer, and I guess they're not technically ninjas. They're kabuki things. I didn't quite understand. I think they're ninjas.
Tomato, kabuki, tomato, kabuki.
Okay, so it was during Zio. That was like my first big strike against Tommy. And then Tommy, all of a sudden,
Still on
in the missing years after Turbo, he suddenly gets a fucking doctorate? No. Tommy does not become a fucking paleontologist in the 5 years he was gone.
Okay, well, you know, Bulk and Skull, they became scientists too, so...
Oh, I get it. Oh, God. And it's just...
That's funny, though. That's funny. Tommy becoming a scientist is just kind of like, come on, you have it all, dude. You gotta
Yeah,
go away. You're old.
I...
Did you ever see that Urkel episode where Tommy was in it and then Urkel fought him off?
Yeah.
I remember that.
God, just... I wish they could have gotten David Yost, the actor that played Billy, but considering how he left the show, he'd never come back. Even for the anniversary stuff that they're planning, he'll never come back.
You'll never come back.
Which
Never
is really
again.
really sad because I liked Billy.
Yeah, Billy.
He
seemed like the wisest one on there because he was the nerd or whatever.
Mhm.
But I don't know. He was a good-looking dude.
I think out of everyone's character in the show, he had probably the biggest amount of growth, but he was also on the show forever. So
Yeah, Billy, Tommy, and Bulk and Skull. I guess they carried on quite a bit.
yeah. So I mean, you either have to evolve or you get kicked off, I guess.
Or die trying.
Yeah.
When you say Katy Perry, Gotta die or Katy Perry.
Gotta die or Katy Perry.
Okay. Now, real closing thoughts.
Okay.
Here.
Power Rangers is okay, but if it wasn't for me going on the internet to find Lost Galaxy and stumbling upon Ginga Man, I would have never discovered Sentai, and I think I probably would have moved on and found something else to be obsessed about.
Do you know, is Power Rangers still using footage?
Yes, they
from
are.
Japan? Okay.
But now
So
they take 2 seasons and compress them into 1 because they're trying to catch up.
Yeah, because
They are taking Goseiger and combining it with Gokaiger, which are 2 completely unrelatable things in my
Isn't
mind.
the current season Megaforce? Is it Samurai?
It's Megaforce.
Okay, that's such a for all the
Oh my
names
God.
in back in the day. Megaforce is the most generic name.
Yeah, you want to know what its next version is going to be called? Super Megaforce.
Oh my god. This is like 80s. That's like 80s or 90s naming.
Yes,
I mean, get
it's
Power
horrible.
Rangers, but like to go back, unless they tried with like Turbo, and I guess that's not whatever.
They used to try a little harder than this.
So I have fond memories of Power Rangers. I've watched some Sentai with you. I will say, it's entertaining and it's a lot more mature than I thought it'd be for a kids show in Japan or whatever. And there's a lot more depth, I suppose. But at the end of the day, it's still a bunch of people in spandex fighting shit.
Yeah.
Terrible looking weapons and repetitive. Okay, well, he's down now. Let's do the super time thing. Okay, well, he's down. Oh, no, he's big now. Oh, the mech time. Now we do the super big mech time, super fight time force. Okay, you're dead now.
Time Force.
All right, now we're all good. That, it's like the actual, the plot before they go into Power Ranger-ness or Sentai-ness, whatever. I guess, it's entertaining or whatever. And I'll still bop around every once in a while. But, yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Entertaining, I suppose. Not for me necessarily, but it's entertaining. Power Rangers for sure for me is not entertaining at all. It is so bad. I don't know where they dig these fucking people out from. Much proper respect to the actors for Bulk and Skull for continuing this thing.
Yeah.
It is like a tradition. Like Power Rangers is kind of like a I can't think of the word, but it's like a pillar, I guess, of American entertainment, I suppose. Everyone knows the Power Rangers, everyone knows Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, everyone knows Mario. It's just something that just is not going to go away or whatever. And I suppose Power Rangers today is probably no more bad than was back in the day, but I want to remember it as better than what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Disney they lost the rights now, right?
Yeah, Disney gave up the rights under the pretense that they didn't believe Power Rangers was a brand that... What's really funny is when they gave up Power Rangers was like the same week that they acquired Marvel.
Yeah, well, they don't fucking need Power Rangers when they have Marvel.
But they said that Power Rangers wasn't the right image they wanted to teach children or something like that.
What does that mean? Marvel is so much more mature than Power Rangers. There's Wolverine in the beer can. He's like bub.
Oh no, he drinks soda now. This is like the first One Piece dubs. How they switched all that shit around. Like Sanji doesn't smoke. He's got lollipops.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, in terms of like Marvel's still kicking on with all their stuff.
Have you watched?
Maybe not for cartoons and stuff, but that was the actual comics.
Have you watched Ultimate Spider-Man? Spider-Man's got a motorcycle that shoots webs.
That sounds like something Disney would create.
It's...
no, sorry, Shay, that sounds like something comics would make, because fucking comics are retarded. I heard that the current run of Spider-Man is Dr. Octopus inside of Peter Parker, and Peter Parker is dead. Did you know that?
I don't follow much anymore. I'm sorry. After Peter Parker got assassinated by the Punisher or whatever during fucking Civil War, I was like, shit is over. I'm done.
Okay, so this is the current run of Spider-Man, as I know
Wait, is this
it.
Ultimate Spider-Man or is this...
No, this is.
Okay.
I think this is normal. I don't think this is Ultimate because isn't Ultimate he's black or whatever?
Ultimate, he's a
Right?
completely new person. It's Miles.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure Ultimate Spider-Man's is fine. I think it's the current run of the normal, the Earth Marvel. I think isn't that
Earth
what it's called?
616.
Earth 1? Okay. Okay, so the normal Doc Ock somehow switches bodies with Peter Parker, becomes Spider-Man. Doc Ock in Spider-Man then kills Peter Parker inside of his body. So fucking Peter Parker is dead, as is the body of Doc Ock. And Doc Ock is Peter Parker, and he is Spider-Man doing... I think he's doing Spider-Man... I think he's a hero. I don't know if he's committing crimes or what, but that's as far as I know it.
That sounds horrible. That sounds like what they're doing with X-Men.
What's happening in X-Men?
Okay, so X-Men is now broken into two factions. The group that's with Wolverine and the group that's with not Magneto, the group that's with Cyclops. Cyclops now wants to pretty much destroy all non-mutants, and Wolverine just wants to be left alone with his like Xavier kids. They've torn the X-Men
Cyclops
universe.
is becoming
he's become a bad guy,
asshole,
and I hate that.
That's crazy
Because
he's
it's frustrating.
He seems like he would never.
No.
Yeah, he seems like he would never become that person. But you know, if you watch like old Magneto stuff, actually no, Magneto's always seemed like he's had like a grudge or whatever. So
well, that's because he's a Jew. Not to be racist, he really is Jewish.
Yeah, and he does have long hate and stuff like that. So I guess
I don't know.
Okay, hold on. I looked up Doc Ock.
Okay.
Powers as Spider-Man. Having taken over Peter Parker's body, Otto Octavius gains possession of all Spider-Man's powers, abilities, memories, and equipment. Octavius loses access to Peter Parker's memories after removing Parker from their shared mind. However, as a way to reaffirm his perceived superior mind, Octavius tinkered with the original Spider-Man costume, adding some carbonadium plating over his neck and skull, talons on his hands and feet, split-toed footwear fashioned as Jikatabi shoes, a slight different, more imposing spider motif on his back, and enhanced lenses in his costume with a HUD and tracking system. He also retains access to some of his former hideouts as Doc Ock, coupling Horizon Tech-derived inventions with his own peculiar brand of technology. So
he's known as the superior Spider-Man.
Okay, so is Spider-Man dead? I thought he was dead.
Oh, probably.
Maybe not.
Maybe. Probably. For all intents and purposes, let's just say he's dead now.
Okay. He's dead.
Poor Peter Parker. He can't ever seem to catch a break.
That is a very weird. Comics are fucking. There's so many fucking just bizarre things. You can't make fun of somebody else's thing and be like whatever. There's always something weirder right around the corner. Football. If you look at football, the thing that players do and stuff and drugs and it's just crazy. I guess nothing can compare to taking over whatever. We've been going on long tangents long enough. But
Power Rangers.
Power Rangers. Yes. Loved it as a kid. Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
Tolerate it through you.
But I get the quirky Japanese stuff.
Yes, indeed. I covet Japanese games. You covet
Japanese television
shows. Right?
I
guess I like a lot of Japanese things, but I guess Sentai just I don't know. I don't know.
It's an acquired taste.
It is. It's just so cheesy.
Well,
I think again the fighting and stuff.
That's what I like the most about Sentai. I like that it's still a show that uses props and uses costumes and uses those techniques, because I recently read that there's almost no shows in the world that still do this kind of thing. And they're not teaching people to make things like this anymore, and soon you're not going to have these shows very much. or the same quality.
I suppose I can see that. Very much so. It is very unique, in its own right or whatever. Even more, it's Power Rangers does all that stuff, but it's just basically copying from, Sentai or whatever. So I guess when Sentai dies, Power Rangers will soon.
Well,
die.
like the old Saban stuff used to try and like make their own stories up. And then Disney acquired it, and Disney started the thing with trying to be closer to the original material. So now, when Saban got it back, they almost verbatim copy. They change the characters, but keep the exact same storylines.
That seems like it really wouldn't work.
I guess it just that's. And they pay models. They don't have actors. They have models. Which is why the acting is so horrible on the show now.
Well, I guess in Japan, like they're always super good looking. Are they like actors or are they the newer models ones? Too?
It's more so the girls. The girls are always like sometimes they're grabbier models, or a lot of times they're idol wannabes. This is a jumping off point for a lot of Japanese actors. If you get in this and do good, usually you become pretty good. Like, people recognize you, and you'll get more gigs and stuff like that. Unlike Power Rangers, Sentai is a jumping off point. A lot of big actors had their start on a show like this. And a lot of them, a lot of idols that just want a little more recognition, usually will do cameo appearances, or usually have, like, some plot-driven thing where, they get to be the victim of the week.
Was Cocteau ever on Power Rangers?
No, he was on Kamen Rider, though.
Huh.
He got to do a theme song for one season. Actually, he did.
Well, that makes sense.
He did 7 songs for that season.
Wow.
And he actually got himself written into one of the movies.
Well, let's not talk about Cocteau or who his actual name is, because who knows what that could translate into.
He picked probably the worst Kamen Rider to want to be, though. He picked Rider Man, who
I don't know who that
Rider
is.
Man wasn't actually a Kamen Rider.
Let's skip. Let's save that for another time. We've been going a little long.
Yeah.
So yes, Power Rangers. Love it or hate it.